Ba weep grana weep ninny bong, my friends. So here I am. I'm here to offer you another review, and this is for another saber that I had produced by Custom Diversions. And to begin with, I received a goodie bag, and inside said goodie bag was all the pieces that I would need to replace bits and pieces of the saber that may get lost or get stripped or might require replacing. Obviously, you have a Allen wrench key and some washers. You'll see when I show you the hilt. The designs that Custom Diversions utilizes washers and oversized screws and various and sundry unique parts. And also, when you receive your saber, you get a wall charger, which is very helpful indeed. So I'm reverting back to the old ways of holding my camera because I find that it's easier. It's easier for me. Anyway, so Custom Diversions bread and butter is usually to make stunt sabers, but this saber is installed with a Nano Biscotti V4 soundboard by Plector Labs, and it has the three standard fonts: light meat, gray meat, dark meat. And I have shown you a video yesterday which kind of displayed the font changing abilities, how that works, and hopefully gives you a feeling for how the blade colors looked in near or total darkness. I would say that this isn't the brightest LED setup that I've ever received, but the color choices, I don't know if they're default, but they consist of a red and a green, which are very satisfying, and a blue, which is almost kind of reaching cyan or light blue territories. So I do appreciate that. So to begin with, this is the pommel, and if I get right down there, you can probably see the speaker in there. So I think it's a high bass speaker, probably 4 watt. I'm not too sure about that. This is an insert, which is kind of free floating, and this part unscrews from the end of the pommel. And inside you will find a chassis which holds the battery, and I believe probably the sound card. I didn't scrutinize it too much, but there's also a free floating recharge port that also acts as you can insert a kill key in it to sever the connection to the battery and save battery power. But the Nano Biscotti V4 soundboard, it does have a deep sleep mode which engages after 5 minutes anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. And the reason for this string is it allows you to kind of tug on. You have to actually pull out the chassis with the speaker, and then you can pull out the kill key. It's it's a bit of a concoction, but it works. So that's why we have this bit of string kind of sticking out as sort of part of the saber design, and I'm just sort of living with it for now. So this little section here is kind of free floating, and it has moved a bit through use. I've been using this saber a lot. Near as I can tell you, that this is a leather bit, and there's a bit of a washer and a screw assembly here, and it wraps around, and it's free floating. Now, there is no CoverTech wheel or D-clip on this thing, so this is strictly a saber that would have to probably go into some kind of holster, or I might jury rig something in the near future, but I'm not too concerned about it by now. This clocks in at 14.5 inches long, and this was a work that I commissioned with Custom Diversions because I wanted a Sith flavored curved hilt, and I looked through his back catalog of sales, and I had seen a video from a fellow. I'm actually going to link his video to this video because it really inspired my final decisions on the type of saber that I received here, and basically I just made the suggestions as far as the changes that I wanted, and I'm not going to list those changes here, but you'll be able to see the saber that sort of inspired this if you watch his video. I really don't want to say his name because I'm afraid I might mispronounce it, and there's a that I don't like mispronouncing people's names without hearing it in action first, and then I'll mispronounce it, I guess. Anyway, so one of the things I did want was a degree of copper on this, and I did want some battle scarring and weathering. And please forgive me, it's a little bit clunky to manipulate a curved-tailed saber, but I chose to do it this way, and this way use the way you get it. So you can see this is a very shiny copper, and as this saber ages, the copper will develop kind of a patina, and will, start getting a little bit green, which is kind of nice. This thing kind of flops around. There we go. So that pretty much covers the pommel. Now there is a leather wrap, and this leather wrap is firmly on here. I chose the location of the bend in the hilt to kind of emulate, believe it or not, a Saberforge Vanquish. And the video that I saw, the one that I mentioned previously, kind of had the bend in the hilt exactly where I wanted it to be. So that's why I chose this particular version of a curved hilt saber. They do offer different versions, different styles, as I've seen, but this suited my purpose. So anyway, we have this is a bit of a chromed out piece right here, which I really like, followed by this whole section, which is basically just copper right through to the emitter, and it looks like he anodized or at least painted in here, which really adds to the details. This is the LED retention screw. It's a very large gauge thing, and it has this little rubber washer on it. It's kind of part of this saber is kind of constructed out of found parts, and I would imagine he has to, not really machine or lathe, but he would have to condition some of these parts from newer material. I would imagine this doesn't necessarily come from discarded material, although I don't really know what the production procedures are. There's a little dent here as part of the battle damage. I kind of like that. That adds character. With his stun sabers, it has a what do they call it? A latching switch, which kind of recesses, and I like the latching switch. This is more of a momentary switch and it sort of reminds me a little bit of Saberforge's switches that they use on their stun configurations, the warrior tier. But although this sticks out a bit, I've had a few accidental shutoffs, but nothing too serious. I mean, basically, when you turn on the saber, you have to boot it up, and it does initiate pretty simply enough. To turn it off, you have to hold it for about a second and a half. So as long as you're cognizant of where your hand ends up on the saber, it's not too much of an issue. And as I said, I have had some accidental set-offs, so it's not perfect, but it's definitely it's not inherently flawed. Now there's a little rubber O-ring here and a little rubber O-ring here. They're not really glued into place. At some point, they'll probably become, loose, or they may get out of position or become a hindrance. So I can freely remove those, and probably won't be much of an issue. It's just a strange, not one of the best accentuations on it. I'm not a big fan of O-rings, but it's there, and I'm just leaving it for now. So you have another chromed off piece here. A lot of battle damage. I like all the battle damage that he did. So you have the emitter here is a piece. I mean, I believe this just kind of inserts here, and it's secured in some fashion. And this is a piece that goes on here. And this is your blade retention screw here. A lot more battle damage. And then there is the shroud. And the shroud has a cutaway. I did ask for a cutaway. Initially, I was thinking kind of a cutaway that would sort of go in like this at sort of a V angle, but he opted to go with this, and I actually like it. I wasn't very descriptive about that, so I kind of left it up to him. I did initially want the shroud on the other side, but he convinced me to put it on this side. So on this side it is, and it's fine there. I'm not exactly sure what secures this in place. I imagine if I get in there real close, I might see, I don't know, I can't really see. There's a bit of a screw in here. It's sort of a mystery. I'm not sure what holds it all together, but it holds together very securely. And so you've got, kind of like a little burning on the weathering. There's it's an extreme degree of weathering. I don't know if these are Acarish or something to that effect, but I like this little particular battle damage, and the battle damage down here is quite lovely. I like that a lot. I like windows, and I like weathering, and I like battle damage. Some people like their sabers pristine. Sometimes pristine saber is nice, but this really gives this saber a lot of character, and I'm quite appreciative of what he did. So let me go ahead and turn this on so you can see the windows in action. This is, I believe this is dark meat. So it has a Tri-Cree RGB setup for color changing. Although you can't do color changing on the fly with an Nano Biscotti V4, you can only do that by actually getting into the sound card and making adjustments to the RGB values. Yeah, there's the flash on clash. I really like the flash on clash. I really like what was selected. It's very sensitive. So to change it, you just hold this down twice. And this is probably light meat, although I'm not 100% certain. This is a very gratifying sound font. And there's the windows. This has my favorite blade style. It's a custom saber shop show blade, 32 inch. Which works really well in this saber. Another white flash on clash, which works really well with all these colors. Again, I don't know if these are default. And the last font, which should be, or it's actually the second font, this is probably gray meat. And this utilizes the blue that I mentioned. And maybe kind of a guardian blue, but it looks a little bit lighter to me. Just bordering on Arctic blue territory. So you can see they all utilize a white flash on clash. And then with this, you can actually hit that once, one beep, and you get mute for those times when you don't want to wake up everybody in the house. Now, I haven't weighed this, but it could just be because I'm getting a little bit stronger because I've been really swinging sabers around a lot lately, trying to build up my stamina and my endurance, and it's a bit of exercise. Obviously, I need to lose a bit of weight, so I've been making strides to try to do that. And I find the saber to be perfectly weighted, and it's really well balanced. This is every bit as functional as my Saberforge, Bane, and my Vanquish. In fact, this has become pretty much my preferred sidearm. And for those of you who have experienced using curved hilt sabers, they're really flexible. You can get angles of attack and techniques and flourishes that you just simply can't, or I can't get with a standard straight hilt. I definitely prefer a curved hilt. But curved hilts are sort of difficult to come by. They're a little bit more expensive. I think there's a lot more work that goes into producing them, and people do desire them, and they're not made in the same numbers that other sabers are. So it's kind of unique when you own one and to find one available for sale. And Custom Diversions was one of the few places that actually produced them on a whim. And I really appreciate what they did for me. This is oopsie. It's very sensitive. This is a very wonderful piece. And most of his sabers, at one point he was calling them bad axes. And I think because of there's other sabers on the market called Bad Axe. I don't know. This is just a guess on my part. It could be totally wrong. They changed the name over to they call them Dao, which is DAO. I'm not exactly sure what the meaning of that is. I meant to kind of look it up. And I was originally going to name this saber something which I won't. It seems kind of silly at this point, but I did like the idea of the Phantom, so I named this the Dao Phantom. And usually when the naming convention from Custom Diversion is the Dao comes last, but this is my saber, so I'm using their naming convention, but I'm changing the order. So instead of the Phantom Dao, I'm calling this the Dao Phantom. So this is a fine example of some of the work that you can get from Custom Diversions. Now, I think it seems like he's been rather busy lately. I haven't been communicating with him as much since I received the saber, but they do a ROM Coda design, and I'm going to be, I'm in the process of trying to acquire one from them, but communication lines have kind of shut down a little bit lately to a degree. So, and I think possibly the situation in China might be affecting their ability to get a hold of soundboards, because I think from here on out, I mean, I'm planning on getting maybe one more stunt saber. They have one on their website that I really think is cool. They had one that sold, the Order 66. So if anybody out there bought that, I'd really like to see a review on that saber, because that one was pretty cool looking, and it had been on sale for a while. But yeah, I think I've rambled on quite a bit. So anyway, this is my review of a saber that I'm going to cherish for as long as I remain in this mortal coil. And this is the Dao Phantom. Another wonderful piece from my friends at Custom Diversions. This is my third saber by them, with a fourth on the way, and I'm probably going to get a fifth, and then I'm probably going to relax a bit for a while. But yeah, they've treated me very well, and I'm 100% satisfied with the work they did. They're true artists, and yeah. That pretty much sums it up. So yeah, by all means, if you have any questions regarding Custom Diversions and my experiences with them, feel free to comment. I'm going to put a link to their Etsy store, as well as the link to the other video that inspired this saber, so you can see an awesome video on a beautiful piece that that this other YouTuber posted, and his saber is really nice as well. So please subscribe if you care to. Like, dislike, it's all up to you. And until next time, I wish everyone a happy rest of the weekend, and till all are one. Take care now. Bye-bye.